Lost in Spades.
Previously on Lost in Spades.
Yeah. Well, on that subject, though, I want you to talk about everything you're going to talk about. I'm going to go get another beer, though, because I have a lone soldier right there.
I'm going to wait for you to get back, though. I got the thumbs up. The hills are alive with the sound of music.
A little call response going on right there. Not too bad. Not teabag.
Not TV. Man, that was almost like Mr. Hanky.
Howdy ho. Hey, you need a towel? Want to get high? Not Mr. Hanky. I think it's Towley.
That went Towley. Chase. Completely different to my chosen vocation. I have always... I don't know. Since I was a teenager, I've been interested in real estate. To a quick point of fact, so I dated a gal in my younger 20s whose father made like millions in real estate. Mm-hmm. And we had a conversation at one point and found out that, so he hit this like mark in his life. He was tired of being middle management and all this other good stuff. And he was up late one night. I guess his car literally set on fire. Like his car, like it was so beat up and everything like that, just working away, but couldn't afford much. So he's up late watching infomercials, which I don't know happens much anymore, but it happened a lot of the time. And he bought this real estate like package.
Yeah. Like
on how to start getting investing in real estate.
And yeah, so at this point, just to be clear, because I didn't know him. I know the person you're talking about, but I didn't know him. Mm-hmm. So at that point, he was just a Joe Schmo working for a living.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Just okay. Joe Schmo, middle manager, working. The center point that breaks kind of thing.
And you're telling me he? Okay, I'll let you continue.
No, yeah, he bought an infomercial.
A fucking infomercial.
An infomercial real estate pack that told you how to like start investing in real estate, how to do rentals, how to do no money down.
Here,
it was super gimmicky.
Clarification for the viewership, though, all three of us. Fucking, what year was this? It was like 95?
No, this would have been 99, 2000.
Okay. Yeah. All right, go on.
And so what's funny is he ended up making millions. He actually created two or three real estate companies, made millions of dollars.
Wow.
And off this 3 o'clock in the 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning infomercial pack.
Yeah, right.
And what's funny is actually looking back on it, I bought the same thing. But I bought it at like 18 years old. And my 18-year-old brain told me there was no way I could do any of it.
Well,
and so I didn't. But he bought the same thing, and that was like our bonding moment.
Yeah.
It was our only bonding moment, because I'm pretty sure you referred to me as a vagrant multiple times.
Yeah, we were pretty much vagrants.
But we were basically vagrants. It doesn't matter whether it was true or not. It was hateful that that he labeled me correctly.
What a shitty way to address somebody that's fucking your daughter.
That's what it came from, right? Like, you're with my daughter and you're not also worth $1 million. Anything less, you're a vagrant.
Yeah,
son of a...
well, it's true.
So, but it was also kind of true.
So when he was... Okay, so when you knew him, though, he didn't have any money, and he was working on it.
No, he'd already amassed it by this. So this was.
Okay.
It was in my like early mid-20s that this has happened. This has been years. So over the course of what would have been, and it was like the same time. So, but he was like 40 something, almost 50 when he bought his.
All right, I'm piecing together timeline.
And I was 18.
Yeah.
And so my 18-year-old brain told me I couldn't do it. As much as I was interested in it, there was no way I could be successful.
These fucking people on YouTube. Who's that real estate guy that you watch quite a bit on YouTube?
Graham.
Yeah.
Stephan. Sorry, Graham.
Graham, man.
You're never going to watch this.
I'm going to link you right down there if you could like it. Because I like your videos, man. You're motivational. I dig that. And I need some motivation. I don't know, man. I came from a poor family, and I grew up poor, and I need more financial advice in the realm that you give. I like your videos. I'm not saying anything negative about that. Being said, everybody on YouTube, including you, is completely full of shit about what, a young person can do in the you should get into real estate. Why don't you have 6 fucking rentals already? You're 19 years old. Christ, you're wasting your life.
Yeah, you're an old man at this point.
I have 2 dimes to rub together, man. I feel like charging myself for masturbating at this point. But at this frequency, you're constantly looking for good content.
Yes.
So that being said, I like your comment. I don't think intentionally misleading is a good way to put it. That being said, be skeptical as a viewership.
Absolutely
be skeptical.
Always be skeptical.
These people, including everybody that has a viewership, they are constantly looking for content.
There's no vetting.
And there's no vetting. They cannot possibly vet all of the information that they're trying to put out.
Absolutely. No, that is absolutely true. And that's something, and that, I guess, to a certain degree, I guess I probably came across more optimistic, is also my point. Like when you're looking at this stuff and you say, oh my God, that sounds like an amazing idea, and that sounds like an amazing deal, I can totally make money about it. And then you do your research because you're always skeptical.
Right.
And then you're like, that's 8 months old and that doesn't even work anymore.
Yeah, fucking. Because if you're trying to buy Chinese shit and then, send it to an Amazon warehouse, and then you're sitting that shit in Amazon's warehouse.
You are going to just spend money with Amazon.
You are going to lose your ass.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Don't do it. Do not sink your fucking savings into that. Yeah.
So anyway, so I use that as a preface to all this, and it is funny though to think back. Like, here was this gimmicky 2-3 a.m. infomercial.
Right.
Me as an 18-year-old, I could not get my brain around that I could potentially do it. And him as a 40-50-year-old at the time was like, what do I have left to lose?
Right.
He just went for it and ended up making millions of dollars.
Yeah.
But so anyway, so all that being said, all that get rich quick stuff, I've just been interested in, and here's my take. I'm going to futurist because I like to do futurist stuff. Yeah. And I'm not someone who can proclaim themselves a futurist, but I don't know what shape. There will be some type of social security out there decades from now. I 100% though believe that whatever that is nothing like it is now.
Yeah.
Because I believe that we can't let it go away. Because you would have at least for now, at least through the baby boomer generation, you can't let it go.
No, I don't think we can.
So you would have to have something. But I also know that by the time I'm ready to retire in 30 years, it's not going to be there for me that I need it to be. So for me, I'm thinking my retirement, because you can't work anywhere that's got a pension anymore.
How many more years do you think we have until, and God forbid, because we have a lot of friends and family in the boomer generation.
Yes.
So don't take me wrong on this way, but if we were going to roughly time out about how long the boomer generation has until their draw on Social Security is minimal, 20 years maybe?
Less?
15?
12.
It's 12? Okay.
That's my prediction.
And
8 to 12, it's going to be in dire.
Hypothetically, because after the boomer generation, fact check me here, after the boomer generation, we actually had a reduction for a while.
Very much, yes.
And hypothetically, Social Security will have a chance to bounce back.
It could.
Before we get into the time, we're dating ourselves a little bit here.
Yeah, it could. It could. I think it could.
Or it could fucking fall apart because we're giving people stipends.
I think
or whatever.
I honestly checks. If we keep going the direction we're going now, I think it'll fall apart. That's my personal.
What? Yeah, but and I like that. But why do you think that?
So we've gotten a situation where we have so many people, and the thing is, it's not even just retirement age people. It's not even just baby boomers. We've got people who some legitimately need disability.
Yeah, right.
Comes out of the same pool.
100%. Okay.
We also have people that we both know that are in a situation where they may or may not actually need it, but they're going to be going into disability.
They're going to suck the tit of the American.
And quite frankly, talking about gimmicks,
yeah,
right? There's a lot of lawyers out there that are more than happy to try to help you because they'll usually get the average. If you go for your disability, your lawyer is going to get an average of about 6 months of what you would get out of that, which is tens of thousands of dollars in a lot of cases.
Quite a bit, yeah.
So it's in their best interest to try to get you hooked up with disability Social Security if you have a chance of getting it.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of things for that. And then just the sheer number, the load of Social Security. I know people who are making 6 figures a year that still draw their Social Security because they're 72.
But they're still generating that. They're still generating a 6-figure income, and then they're also gathering
5-6 figures, but at that point, you just take Social Security at that point, and we're like, oh, why not?
Well, sure. I mean, I would.
I don't blame them.
And that may sound like a little negative. Like, why would you be taking out of that? You paid that money.
Absolutely.
That money went in there
I
through your
challenge
lifetime.
anybody listening to this right now. Look at if you make just enough money that you don't completely live paycheck to paycheck, because statistically most people live paycheck to paycheck, will more accurately look at their pay stubs. But if you're even on the edge of not having to live paycheck to paycheck, even if you still do, most of us don't. I can't remember the last time. So I make myself look at my paycheck every once in a while, look at my pay stub. And if you look at the amount you spend in Social Security, absolutely, at that point, I'm taking Social Security if I'm them.
Yeah, you don't have to come up with it. I'm not asking for an exact number here, but I haven't even looked at it. Is it in the realm of? Is it?
It's in the realm of federal tax range. So if you think about what you're paying in federal tax,
so
you're paying that in Social Security.
It's substantial.
It's substantial.
Yeah.
And I get it, but so here's why I think it's not going to last. To that point, there's so many baby boomers. It's just the system isn't set for that kind of level of care, and a lot of them, especially once they start going to, because let's talk about elderly homes. And things like that, it's great, they're useful and everything else, but they are a money-making machine. And they drain Social Security stuff, and that ends up going to them. And there's a lot of people, like if you get to a point where you don't have family that can take care of you, or you're not independently wealthy enough to have your own care, you're going to have to go into that system. You're going to have to take Social Security to pay what you can to the elderly care.
Yeah.
And there's just so many of them, and it's draining.
Yeah,
oh my God,
and elderly
care.
Bad. Yeah. Sorry. Elderly care, just while you're walking away, is I have multiple family members in elderly care, and it is fucking outrageous, the prices.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely insane.
If I didn't have a heart, I would beg, borrow, and steal to open my own elderly care for the money.
Yep.
It would be better than a hedge fund.
Yep. I have a family member that's a nurse, and she makes jack shit taking care of those older people, and it's miserable, man. People like that should be making just an incredible amount of money. Because I don't want to do it. I don't want to wipe asses and, God, taking this is some kind of quote from someone, but they said, the quality of a civilization or whatever can be measured on how you take care of your elderly. I'm butchering that quote, but that there's some quote there, and I mean, I guess hypothetically we might do a pretty good job, but I know my grandparents did not get the best elderly care. They went through that, and they were in some situation where they had to bleed off their entire. What do you call that? It's not really your savings, but your
401k?
Retirement.
Yeah.
They had to bleed off their entire retirement, because it was either do that or not be able to afford the quality of care that they wanted.
Yes.
Or they could only afford it for some short amount of time.
Yep.
And my grandmother had an issue with Alzheimer's, and she required more care than the average person, which I guess comes at a premium. It makes sense.
It does come at a premium. Yeah.
But holy shit. And my grandfather was an insurance salesman. He knew what was up. He was, I guess, financially savvy, you could say. And they had a lot of shit to bleed off. And it was intentionally difficult to bleed that off.
Yes. And so some people try to get by with it too by selling their house. They'll sell their house to their kids,
right?
And say, "This is so I don't lose my place." But now the state can go back 5 or 7 years. I can't remember which one it is.
Take that shit,
and they can take it away from you. Anyway, because of all that, and I think we could probably travel down this path 5 different ways.
Yeah.
But the long story short of it, because of the amount of baby boomers, because that was such a life was plentiful at the time.
Oh,
and so all this
it was a really good time to have kids.
So the baby boom happened, and they grew. They were the first real generation to grow up in a land of plenty here. In a long time. But because of that, there's so many, it's just going to overwhelm the system. I mean, you got to think, everywhere we look, we can travel 1-2 towns over, and you can find brand new elderly care centers.
And
you
everywhere.
can because especially the age range.
Yeah.
So, the youngest is around 60-ish right now. But the oldest is 80-ish.
Yeah.
So
not much.
It's
not much
20
longer.
year span.
Man, I didn't really think about that.
Yeah.
I did not think that kind of boomer, pardon me, air quotes generation, boomer air quotes generation, was quite lasted that long.
Yeah, it's a heck of a span. And so I just think it's going to overwhelm it. And I just don't think it's going to be something different than what it is now. I think it'll be enough to make sure that people can stay alive.
Right.
But I don't know what it's going to be now. So, and not that I wanted to plan on that anyway, but you can't find, you used to find work and you would go get a pension, and that pension would sustain you.
Man,
that was the thing.
Yeah. Somebody just the other day was talking to me. They had a pension. They were not a cop. They weren't a firefighter. I can't remember what they were.
A lot of manufacturers still, up until the last 15 years had pensions. Up until the last 10 years. 10 years.
But they were telling me that they were getting ready to begin collecting on their pension, and I was like, wow, pension. That's
you
a
don't
word,
hear much.
That's a word that will fall off eventually. You know what I mean?
It will fall out of the English language.
Yeah.
I bet there's a lot of people that may even listen to this.
And have no idea
don't
how
even
that difference.
What's a pension?
Yeah, right. Is that like a 401k?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people refer to their 401k as pension anymore.
Well, it is kind of like a group 401k.
It's like a giant 401k. Yeah, I mean, it is basically a giant 401k that everybody gets. Once you reach a certain milestone at your company, you're maximum vested and you get the maximum amount, and that's it. But they're hard to manage. They're expensive to manage, which is also why a lot of companies.
And they can also go tets up. And ruin a shitload of people's lives.
Well, yeah, a lot of automotive manufacturers still did pensions up until recently. Maybe some still do, but most of them don't anymore.
Yeah.
But they still have workforce that's working there that would get a pension.
Right.
And they're in that same situation of they're starting to offer buyouts more and more. Because they're this is expensive to manage. It's expensive to pay out. It's a liability for us.
Yeah. We
would love to be out from it. So the fewer people who have it, the better.
Here's the thing that I like about the idea of a pension, though, is that you have a lot more dick to swing around for the life of that pension than you do for individual 401ks.
Oh, absolutely.
If you
have all of that group buying power.
Yeah, man. And we're missing that now because we don't have group buying power in the sense of we have only what individuals contribute to the 401k to be able to swing that around. Whereas your gains in a pension level scenario could be much higher. They could also be, the risk is also much.
And the company usually eats the risk. Which is why a lot of companies.
I did not realize that.
Which is why a lot of companies don't want to do it.
Oh, okay.
So there's two reasons for that. So as since I deal, I guess, a little closer with this.
You
this
deal
part,
far more.
realm.
No. You are far closer. So I know as much as I need to know as an individual about my retirement. And for anyone that's listening, if you don't have a good connection in what you're contributing to your retirement or whatever,
you need to see a financial advisor.
Please do it. Go talk to somebody. Honest to God, $150 or something, talking to somebody that knows what they're gonna do could yield dividends.
Literally.
It literally
yield dividends. Yeah.
It is best case scenario for you, even if you're super young, 20 years old or something. Go talk to somebody.
So find a fiduciary.
We have a friend, and
we do.
Yeah, we do it. We all. And if you're in the UK and you're listening to this, I got a guy to set you up with. He's got
us know.
Smallest dick I've ever seen on a human being, but he's a great guy.
Absolutely, 200%. That's the best way I can describe it.
Nipper, you asshole! I got you.
So find a fiduciary.
Yes.
Which for those of you who don't know,
specifically a fiduciary.
Specifically, for those of you who don't know what that means, it means someone who is legally bound to represent your best interest. If they can't say they're a fiduciary, it means they can tell you to do anything, and it's kind of like trading places at Duke and Duke. Whether you win money or you lose money, they make a cut.
Yep.
Right? So find someone who's a fiduciary, and likely, in the best case scenario, find someone who's going to charge you per hour of your time, which may spend a little more money up front, but they don't take a percentage off the back end. That's the best advice I can give you, and that's where I ended. That is not legal advice. That is not financial advice. That's my own personal opinion, and the own personal opinion of this channel.
Right. Nice disclaimer at the end there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that.
We're not getting sued.
Yeah. No, I like that. That being said, it's still good advice.
It's good advice.
So anyhow, you in your day-to-day work are far closer to this than I am. I am a third party looking into. I want to keep my family going.
Because you don't have to.
Because I don't have to.
Yeah.
My job does not revolve around that.
So mine, I have to keep up with this kind of stuff. So it's expensive for the company. The liability usually relies on the company for the pension. And quite frankly, in the coldest, hardest of terms, if I have somebody who's a 10, 20-year employee, they're going to statistically, even at the worst case scenario, if I calculate 3% increases over the course of that 10, 20 years, I can hire somebody who's only got a couple years or a few years of experience at a fraction of what I'm paying you.
Right.
So, I mean, that isn't always the goal of any company, but that is usually the cold, hard reality of it's easier to let you go find other work and not have to worry about keeping you here. Whereas back in the day, the goal was to keep that knowledge and to keep that expertise.
Right.
And so how do you do that? Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to make sure that you're set up. If you stay here, you're going to get good benefits and you're going to get a pension.
Yes.
And so that's the payoff for you eating whatever crap I have to spin at you, because you know you're going to be taken care of. Whereas now the goal is to save money in the short term at almost any company. It's not in their best interest to do that. So that's why I worked for a large automotive manufacturer, and the first year I actually worked for them was the last year of pension, and they told me, they're like, we're going to roll this into your 401k, and I was like, oh yeah, why is that? And they go, well, because you weren't here long enough to get grandfathered into the pension.
Yeah.
And if we did, it would be like $5 a month because we wouldn't have contributed to it anymore for you.
Yep.
So we're just going to do you a favor and roll that into your 401k. Now, they were very nice about it. I got some added benefits to that. They put it for every year of good service. They put
matching or something.
They put $1,000 on top of matching 6%. They put an extra $1,000 in every year.
6% is a huge match.
Yes, now. Yeah. But they put also an extra $1,000 for every good year of service I had into my 401k.
Fucking A.
So, there's some places that still try to make it good. But still, it was still cheaper. You got to think about that. It was cheaper for them to match 6%.
Yeah.
And give me an extra $1,000 every year of good service I had into my 401k than it was to keep a pension. So I want you to think about how much it costs a company to keep a pension. That puts it in perspective.
Expensive. It really does.
So,
because 6% is pretty unheard of. I'd say between 2 and 4 is standard.
And it's usually 3 to 100%, and 4 to 5 is 50%.
Some kind of partial, yeah.
Yeah, and it goes down from there.
Yeah.
And that's the best case scenario. But so anyway, so this was all a long diatribe full of there's only one true way, and this is the way of kings, this is the way of nobles, this is the way of everything else that was once held to a higher esteem: land ownership.
Land ownership.
So it all goes back to real estate. And the one thing that you can guarantee is they're not going to make any more land.
For sure.
And I say that to a 99.9% because I'm not including where
Dubai.
some of our... Yeah, I'm not including where they've made their own islands.
They've literally made their own land.
But the vast majority of the world, they're not going to make any more
100%,
land.
Yeah.
And that is what it is. So knowing that, and I knew that when I was 18.
Yeah.
I didn't have the balls to do anything about it.
I didn't have the money either.
Also didn't have them. I for sure didn't have the money.
There's no fucking bank in the world that's going to give an 18-year-old making what we made at 18 or 20 or 25 for that matter.
And what's funny is we made better than average when we were 18.
Yeah, we definitely did.
Now, keep in mind while you're watching this, we're talking about like $6.50 to $14 an hour from that range.
Yeah, but
I'm not talking about.
It was also.
But it was also 1999 to 2000.
Well, hell with that. I mean, yeah, and I guess that's pretty true. But I mean, we were working through the 90s together.
Oh, absolutely, we were.
Yeah.
But I pretty much made I think I made $650 to $850 through the '90s, through the mid '90s.
Yeah, I want to say that's about right.
So anyway, so real estate is still the thing for me, and so I am actually doing. I signed up for real estate courses, and I'm going to get my real estate agent license.
Yeah,
for the side.
You've really got me tempted on that shit. I mean, it was something I was super passionate about, and I still am passionate. And you know, you sent me, you know, we're shooting the shit. You sent me a pic of just one of the. I can't believe they sent you physical books.
I got 6 books.
They sent you physical fucking books.
6 physical books.
Why not just a PDF and cut $200 off the page, off the fucking price?
I know. But you know what? Flipping through them, I'm glad I have that physical book as reference material. Yeah. The information that's in those, just that I flipped through so far, is it's not bad. I'm going to put those on the bookshelf.
Shit. Yeah, I want to do it. It's something.
Just the appraisal and the commission breakdown alone is going on the bookshelf.
Yeah. What's the commission percentage usually? 10?
So it depends on the area, but yeah, it's like, and it's, you know, on average, like around here, it's like 6%.
Yeah. And
then it gets broken down from there, but it depends on what it is. But, you know, then you have to, you know, if you're working under a broker, you have to give them a cut. Mm-hmm. And then if you know, if you're an agent representing one person and then another agent represents them, then you have to 50-50 that out from there. And so it can go down pretty quickly.
Right.
But still, depending on the amount of that house and depending on the time you have in it, it's still like a chunk of cash. It's still thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Now, you know, if you're already got a full-time job, have you know, get one sale a month, and you know, if you're like
and that's what
you and me, you're using that to pay down student loans still.
Right. I'm still. Oh my God. Yeah. No. It's ridiculous to think that
You've been graduated how many years?
Yeah, oh shit, man! I've been out of college for 20. No, I was out of
12 years.
12.
13.
Yeah, it's coming up on 15. Yeah.
Oh, coming up on 15. So you've been out of school 15 years, you're still paying your student loans.
Oh fuck yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Now I went back to school to actually finish my degree.
And that's where I had to do some math on that.
Yeah. But you know, but still, either way, you're paying on these things a long time. I know plenty of people that are in my same age bracket that are like, well, I'm in a forgiveness situation, so I'm just going to pay 20 years and know that I'm going to get forgiven the rest because I'm never going to pay it all off before then.
Right.
You know, and so again, that kind of goes to another place. I would rather be in a situation where I'm making enough money that I can pay off my student loans myself, rather than just wait out the death march for X amount of time and then go, okay, I'm forgiven now.
Have you been following? And I only have lightly because I don't have that much student loan left. I mean, you know, it's something that if I really
I still have 30 grand.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's more than I thought.
It's stupid.
I think I'm sitting at. I think I got like 13. But I mean, I've also been.
You've also worked harder at paying yours off.
I've really like I way overpay my student loans.
Yes, and I'm not even gonna. I have not.
Yeah. Well, and it doesn't make that much sense to, and that's kind of where I've stopped. Is I worked really hard to pay off my high interest student loans, and I had more, I think, high interest student loans than you did.
Probably.
More than likely, because I think my overall cost of tuition and everything.
Private school versus public
it was
school.
private school and all that shit.
Yeah.
And room and board and everything else, which you kind of dodged.
I did dodge a lot.
So it was a different kind of thing. So I had a lot of fucking high interest student loans, and I knew from a financial, you know, just perspective, I had to get rid of a lot of that shit or refinance or anything else. So I just decided to just knock it out. Mm-hmm. Financially, from now on, for that last whatever $13,000-$15,000 that I have, it does not make any sense to me financially for me to overpay that.
Yeah, if you're talking about if all you've got left are your like direct 3%.
I want to say it's like I think it's about 2.5-3% or some shit.
Then there's no your 6.8% ones or whatever. That was absolutely the right call.
Got to get rid of those kind of as fast as possible.
Man, we really turned this into a finance channel.
Yeah, I don't know. We gotta talk about more dicks and pricks, bud.
Dicks and pricks, bro. So
I'm gonna run and get another one of these. And I really because I need my charger.
Oh. So,
Did you have your charger?
no. But,
Yeah. Let me borrow.
no, it's, yeah. So,
I'm just gonna here. You take that.
oh, so,
COVID motherfucker.
COVID, son of a bitch. So anyway, so with that, while I'm working on getting my real estate license, so I've had this, and I don't know if you can see it that well, but it is an Insta360 X1. And you know, this thing it was fun, and I thought I was going to do all kinds of stuff with it, and I didn't do that much with it. But one of the things that you and I had talked about way ahead of time was how virtual tours in homes was going to be more of a thing at some point.
Oh,
now,
we had been long talking about real estate.
When
you were talking about getting that, one of my first... No, this is to your credit. You started talking about that 3D home tour, and then you showed me some software. Matterport. And I was blown away.
It's amazing.
I had no idea.
And it's not the only one now. There's a bunch of them.
Really?
But yeah, Matterport is probably the one I'm going to use. But so with that, you know, we had no way of knowing or talking about, you know, a pandemic or whatever. Like, we had no knowledge of that. So, but anyway, we had talked about, and unfortunately, I can look back at it multiple times where we've had conversations, and we've kind of predicted something, but again, we either weren't in position or didn't have the guts or whatever to do anything about it. It ended up coming to fruition.
Yeah.
And this is another one. So during this pandemic, it has never been more used, the 3D tour software stuff.
Yeah, because nobody wanted to actually go to our house.
Yes. And it was, you know, anyway, it's amazing stuff to look at. You know, we're not this type of channel, at least at the moment. You know, we talk about a little bit of everything. So I encourage you guys to look out. You can look at Matterport stuff. You can look at using the Insta360. Or, you know, Matterport actually has their own, but it's like a $3,000 camera.
Yeah, fuck that
takes,
man.
This thing,
$400.
This takes $400.
Yeah.
So you know, I already had it. And so I'm looking at, I'm like, okay, what can I do that not only makes me money in real estate, but also gets me kind of involved? And so I got this beast. This is a DJI.
Keep going.
What is this? This is a DJI. I'm totally blanking.
We have been drinking.
It's Pro 2. Mavic, thank you. This is a DJI Mavic Pro 2. It's got the 1-inch freaking sensor in here, the freaking Hasselblad that's like amazing and takes...
Hasselblad! Hasselhoff?
Did
it sing German fucking songs?
It did. It also touched me inappropriately twice.
And ate some goofy Wendy's.
Yeah, and my house still smells like sauerkraut. But anyway... so, you know, I'm starting to think of like, okay, some things I've picked up that I thought would be handy that now is actually proving that it might be handy. I can use this to do 3D Matterport scans of a house. And so this, I have to have my commercial drone license to use. I don't have my commercial drone license, I have my private license. So I can fly it, but I can't make any money off it commercially.
How do you do that jump?
I've got to pay $150 for the license, and then I've got to take what I can only assume by the looks of it is 40% of the same exam material that I would have to fly a Cessna. Like, it's kind of crazy.
So it's a lot.
It's a bit. Now, it's not undoable, but it's a bit.
So if you weren't... Okay, so I'm rewinding. I'm trying to fully understand. So however, if you are an agent yourself and you're not selling that video to yourself...
No, I can't make money off this.
Oh, so
without my commercial license,
still,
I cannot make money off this.
So if you included it in your own business venture, you would still be hypothetically making money off it.
Yes, so technically, so like I could take B-roll from this drone and put it in the channel.
Right.
And I'm okay because I'm not directly selling the service or making money directly from that service.
Right.
But if I take that and I go out to a property, even if I'm an agent or a broker,
Yeah.
and I make money off that, then that's an advertisement thing. That's a problem.
Yeah.
And then I'm in trouble.
Okay.
So this thing though, if I go take 3D scans of a house, it takes HDR pictures. It's like 5 point whatever K. Like it's HDR. It's ultra high def. I can take 3D scans of this, not using their special camera, and this does a plenty fine job. And I can charge anywhere between $200 and $800 in this area per house,
Right.
for a scan. And I don't have to take any special. I don't have to take anything.
Right.
I just have to have the software and pay for the software and pay
It's
for
just
that.
$400 and you got to know what you're doing, which honestly is not that difficult.
No, the barrier of entry on this is stupid. Even if I would have spent the $3,000 on the actual Matterport scanner,
Yeah.
the barrier of entry is nil.
Is pretty zero.
Yeah, I mean, other than the cost. So
well, hell, I fooled around with it. You are far more into the audio and the cam and everything else than I
love
am.
it. I get crazy.
Yeah, it's a real passion for you, and I like it too. But I'm just not as passionate about it. In a sense of you
get into it, but you also get into the other nuances. So I think that kind of goes into like you're getting way more physical on this stuff.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm getting more into this because this is my passion. Whereas you getting the cathartic and also the nitty gritty mechanical. So
You're 100%.
So I guess if you broke us down, we probably ended up scoring the same. So like my first thing, remember in high school we took those like what you should do with your life. So my first one was electrical engineer. My second one was mechanical engineer. Now I didn't want to get into the freaking math of it all. Like I'm okay at math. I'm actually decent at math. I just don't care to do it if I don't have to.
Same.
And I bet for yours, if you remember what it was, I bet yours was probably mechanical engineer followed by electrical engineer.
Yeah,
I think we were probably flipped on it.
I think we were probably. In fact, I'm remembering that's a long time ago. But if I'm remembering right, that was probably.
Yeah, and so I think that kind of is some of the difference here. But anyway, so like there's multiple pieces. There's also like you can take this in and you can actually charge businesses to do 3D scans of their business. But usually that goes on to Google.
Well, and this is where, and I remember pinging you about this. I was into watching these videos of this First Amendment audit bullshit just because, that's disrespectful. It's not bullshit. I totally dig it. I enjoy watching the First Amendment audit stuff. But these First Amendment auditors would go in and just bust the balls of a health department.
Oh my God.
So, I mean, long story short, is like, I love that shit. I love that First Amendment audit stuff. But I pinged this motherfucker and said, hey, let's use your Insta360 and we'll start walking through... we'll give the county an option to say, I don't know what the inside of a police department looks like. This guy over here, he definitely knows what the inside of a police department looks like. Yeah, that's why you shouldn't carry drugs in your pockets, boys and girls.
Just saying.
That's a really, really disingenuous way of saying why you know the inside of a police department.
It's not even remotely, but I like it.
Not even almost. Oh my God, that's funny. But like, hey, as a help. So something that I'm passionate about, and I know this guy over here is passionate about, is we live in a relatively rural area of the Midwest. And I want there to be more options for the people around here to feel like they live in a larger city. Part of that being
900%
going into Google and being able to walk through their police department, walk through their county courthouse, walk through their health department, walk through all these places. Because me as an individual, I rely on that shit.
Yep.
It's like I don't want to go in. I am not of the generation where I'm going to go in and shoot the shit with somebody at a desk and say, hey, by the way, where do I file this thing? Where's the county registrar at? Where's the county auditor?
Yep.
You know what I mean? And instead, we could, work together to help our community by taking this 360 through and not doing First Amendment audits. I'm not against it. I'm not of the mentality that I could do that because I'm not a flaming asshole. Sorry, I love you guys. I love your videos, but holy shit.
It's not the go-to.
I can't do it, man.
Yep.
That as soon as it feels awkward, I back out instantly. I'm just like, all right, you guys are good to go.
Seems good enough for me.
Yeah, like I love it.
Truly for flapjacks.
Yeah. You check your mirror, side of your eye, side of your eye. Ned Ryerson.
Needle nose Ned Dad. Case Western High. Thanks, Groundhog Day.
Watching First Step, that's a doozy. But I thought, man, we could use that Insta360. And I think that's kind of getting into a little more of what you're interested in doing now, in a sense of, but both helping the community in some sense. I mean, really.
So you're in my conversations. This is one. Like, first of all, we align on 99% of everything. Even if we come at it from a different angle, our end goal is usually kind of the same, or our end thoughts kind of the same.
Right.
But one of the things that we like just 200% agree on is, there's so much help out there for the really high cost business because they can afford to bring in the best of the best, sir, with honors.
Sir. With honors.
but there's not a lot out there from mid and small businesses and things like that, or some of those public services in small towns.
Absolutely.
And so one of the things I'm doing with this is I found some information out there where I can go through and there's kind of I don't want to call it a hack. It's not a hack. It's utilizing the system the way it was meant. Of being a Google authorized photographer.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use this. There's a bunch of side streets near me, and there's a bunch of roads near you that do not have any 360 Google Maps. And at first I thought it was going to be this daunting task of taking all these still pictures. But what you can do is you can actually take this, put a good card in there, and make sure you plug in your phone for the Wi-Fi connection to this and everything else. And you can actually take video. And there's multiple people, and you can look it up on YouTube, look up, Google Street View, Insta360, and you're going to find people that talk about, they've taken like in an hour of video, when they upload it, they end up with like 21,000 images for Google Street View.
And it's per image that they're doing this?
So they break it down into these individual like 360 views. So they do the hard work for you. So at that point, you're just taking video and uploading it.
Right.
So as long as you've got a decent connection, it's actually working pretty well for you.
Yeah.
It's better than you having to do the alternative. And you only have to have, I think it's 50 authorized images, 50, checked off images on Google Street View to become a Google authorized photographer. Now, once you have that, pretty much whatever you put up there is going to go.
Yeah.
And then you can start messing around. First of all, you go into a list on Google and people can search you and go, oh, I know this is. Also, any image that you take is credited to you. So if it's not just straight credited to Street View and it's credited to someone, then someone personal took a 360 of that image of whatever you're looking at on Google.
Yeah. And
Google Maps.
So in terms of the Street View thing, and just to be clear here, you're going to make a video on this.
I am absolutely going to make a video on this.
And the whole process through what you're buying, how you're setting it up, how you're doing it.
I've got stuff coming from Amazon tomorrow.
So, and then you would just attach that little Insta360 bad boy up to the old...
So I was, I guess, forward thinking enough to know that I would need the selfie stick because the Insta360 will make this thing disappear. So you can take some pretty good shots. And at one other point, I got a mount here. Actually, it's for a GoPro, but it's an action mount, so it works on this. But it connects to the bottom of this like you would any type of camera, just with that little mount there. And but this thing isn't quite powerful enough. This thing sways quite a bit on top of my car. But I've got another more powerful one coming. I'm going to put it on top of my car. I'm going to put it about 4 feet up. Or so.
Is that their recommended amount? Or?
It's the average of, like, if you look at the Google cars, it's about 3-4 feet up that they're taking pictures.
It's so weird that you can do that with an Insta360 because I've seen Google cars many times.
That's thousands of dollars of equipment.
Big ass equipment on top of those little cars.
And this almost does just as well. Now, the only thing this doesn't do is like the LiDAR stuff that some of them have, but it doesn't need it.
Yeah.
Because you're just looking 360.
What does it use a LiDAR for?
I forget. There was some kind of measurement.
Some reason.
I don't know if it was just they want the measurement data, but it's not active on maps. But I've seen LiDAR setups on some of those things. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know why.
Well, I know, and I've used that here actually as a so where I'm at, I've been kind of roughly measuring my property and trying to gauge where we're going to put some new construction at and everything. May do a video on that in the future, but I can do that, and I'm not joking around here. I don't know if that's just from the satellite imagery, like to where they can get rough measurements or whatever. But I can run a line of measure on Google Earth or Google Earth, Google Maps, all that shit.
Yeah.
I can run a line of measurement. And it is fucking accurate, man.
It's real close.
I wonder if that's some of that LiDAR stuff is them taking and correcting and other stuff so they can get more defined distances.
Taking more information together.
I don't know. Maybe. I'm just thinking out of the
But I mean, with this, to that point, with this, yeah, you're using this is $399, I think, still.
Yeah.
And you're taking something like this and replacing basically thousands of dollars software. And the same thing goes with Matterport. You're taking this will replace a $3,000 camera. Is it quite as good? No. Is it quite as accurate? No. Is it good for probably 98% of all listings for like a real estate thing?
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely, it is. Now, and then the other thing with Google, they don't specify with that stuff.
Yeah.
So as long as you get a 360 view,
you can do with anything,
and you walk through, it doesn't matter. It could be a GoPro Fusion.
Right.
It doesn't matter. But this is what I have, so this is what I'm going to use.
And I'm not a fan of doing work for a giant corporation or whatever.
But it's a means to an end.
It's a means to an end. And frankly, one thing I am passionate about, help your community. This is a major help for,
absolutely.
There are communities out there that aren't Google mapped at all for Street View.
Yes, yeah, all tons. So I looked around me, and we were talking before this started. Every side street around me, including my street, is not on Google Maps. I can't do a Street View. I'm about to change that, and by changing that, I am going to be becoming a Google Authorized photographer.
I love it.
So I'm going to take, they recommend take 2 to 3 minute videos, no more than that. The file size starts to get really huge. And honestly, if you don't have one of these, this thing gets hot when it's working for a while. It gets real hot.
Can you divide up the video into 2 to 3 minutes? There's no reason for you to, how
I'm going to divide it up by street.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to drive down a street at 20 miles an hour.
You just do that on your phone, like app connected?
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, you're pretty much doing everything. And there's an actual setting in the app that is specifically for Google Street View that gives very accurate GPS information along with the files.
Yeah, okay.
And they just take it and they run with it. And so, like I said, a lot of these people, instead of taking individual images and waiting for the images, they just took video, let Google go through and do their magic on their machines, and it came up, and like I said, a lot of these people ended up with like tens of thousands of images.
Yeah, right.
And you only need 50, and then you're good. So then other people see it. So then you can start. You could charge. You say, okay, I'm either doing a service to the community. So let's say it's a public works, right? And you're taking video. But then for the businesses, like, do you want me to come in and do this?
I'm a Google Authorized photographer.
You can look me up. Here's my credentials.
Yeah.
I'm authorized. I can come in and I'll have your stuff up today.
Yeah. And you don't got to charge the ass out of anybody.
No.
Like local, like we've got
I would pay a couple $100 easily to say, I want a 3D view of my interior so people can look and find me on there. And that's not going to break any business.
Right,
$200.
Right. And there's some little guys out here, and this is something, much like what I was saying, just being passionate about just helping your local community is there's a lot of little mom and pop shops out here that
just
don't even have
afford it.
websites and shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, come on, make a website. I want to know your hours. Like, just put some structured data up there. This is getting a little bit more into my realm.
Yes.
But it's like, get a site up, get your structured data up there, put accurate hours.
Yep.
Let people know when you're open and when you're closed.
And they need it.
If in the modern day, if somebody is checking, they're not just going to call. They're not going to come to a store.
Our Dairy Queen, I had to break down. Do you know how weird it was for me in this day and age to have to make a phone call to our local Dairy Queen
to see if they're open?
You say you closed at 8.
Yeah.
But
did you close at 8?
But your hours usually change around Memorial Day. Are you still closing at 8? Oh no, we're closing at 9. Okay. Yeah. That's not on your Google site. Right. And that's what I go to, and everybody I know goes to say, are you still open?
Like your Google local business. Yeah, man.
You put in the business name and your city, and you expect it to come up with accurate information. And if it doesn't, that's a problem.
Yeah. And if and outside of Dairy Queen's a little bit different. Granted, it's a franchise and whatnot,
and that's the problem.
I would hope that Dairy Queen as a conglomerate or whatever.
From what I've been seeing with our local one, they just let the franchises run their own muck.
They don't help.
Yep.
Wow, that's some shit. But yeah, for the local mom, I mean, I'm thinking we've got a couple of little bakeries in town that don't know what they're doing.
Absolutely.
We got a barbecue place in town. We got bars in town. I couldn't tell you when those places are open because some of them have odd hours. Small businesses have odd hours, man. They can't pay people to stay there.
Yeah. And there's only so many hours you can work in a day.
Right. So anyhow, man, I love that you're doing this. I love it. As soon as you started talking about it, I was like, holy shit, that's a really good idea. I'm genuinely anxious to see you making a video on this.
100% spin-off of what we had talked about before.
Yeah.
It's just my goal is to start with offering this, and maybe I can pay for my real estate courses. And then I can use it for real estate. But in the meantime, I can kind of do what you and I talked about helping small businesses and pay for my real estate courses.
Oh, 100%.
And then I've got an in using the MLS and everything else. I've got the inside knowledge on finding rental properties and finding things that would benefit me going forward in life to make up for Social Security. My goal is to have, by the time I retire, I want to have 20 properties.
Right.
That's my personal goal I've set for myself.
Look at you, you're a millionaire next door. No, that's not right.
I mean, it's kind of.
What is it though?
That would be like Rich Dad Poor Dad.
What Matsutsuki?
Robert Kiyosaki. In the link below.
Robert
Kiyosaki.
I know. I've read quite a bit of his stuff. And he doesn't name drop himself very often, at least at
least not early on.
Not early on. Maybe now.
Now it's a little different. It's a little almost like, oh my God.
We watched that Kiyosaki YouTube video of him on COVID, just kind of saying like, This is designed to kill me. Yep. And these are my thoughts on COVID.
Yep.
And I thought that was
good information.
Super interesting.
It's at least interesting from the point of view of
we also saw, or at least I did. I didn't really send this out. Did you watch on Joe Rogan? He had Elon Musk on.
I feel like he's had him on a couple times, unless it's pieces of one.
No, this is the second. He just had him on maybe 2 weeks ago.
So I haven't watched the whole of either of them, but I've watched the breakdowns of pieces of both of them.
Elon was talking about just his thoughts on COVID and stuff, and he was very adamant on I just don't think it's that big of a deal for anyone less than, let's say, 55, 60, and doesn't have, condition that would otherwise make them predisposed.
I have a guy, and I'm skirting HIPAA here.
Yeah.
I have a guy that works where I work that was fighting cancer. Mm-hmm. Came through it fine. He is actively fighting cancer. He was
got
diagnosed with COVID. Actual COVID. I have the paperwork.
Wow.
He's fine.
And did he have a really hard time with it?
He said it felt like he had no energy for 2 weeks, and then he was good to go. Kind of like the same thing as what all of us were suffering at different times back in December.
I have felt that.
I don't know. But I'm not spending the $70 to see if I have the antibodies. But I may have legit. We all may have legit had COVID back in November, December.
I had and I took why not say it? I took an appropriate amount of caution for COVID in the sense of, like any good father, Like
Yes.
any good husband, I stocked up on all the shit that we needed. I wanted to make sure it was nice and safe for my family.
Yep.
But I kept going out. I mean, I didn't go to big box stores or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I was
Within
also
reason.
within reason,
Yeah.
very within reason. I did not want to. I didn't know what was going on.
Just in case.
I'm not an infectious disease specialist.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I'm just a Joe Schmo trying to figure out what's best for my household. But at the same time, I didn't also really think that I am not in the most area where, one, I don't live in an area where
We're not condensed.
there was a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Two, there was that. Two, also, I'm not in an age group where I had to really worry about it.
Yeah, we were kind of in the okay.
Yeah, we were kind of in the okay. So, I mean, whatever. We're all overweight. We're American. We're fat Americans. And,
we are fat Americans.
There's always that. But, like, in the end, I wasn't too concerned about it.
Yep.
So, whatever. But where was I going with that? I don't know. I've been drinking.
I'll throw my extra one over here that I didn't have in the shot.
But in any case, that is definitely, kind of how it looks like you've drank everything and I've drank nothing.
Yes, so it was one of yours over here.
I don't know. Did I throw? Yes, give that.
Give that back.
And
that's the whole pack, by the way.
Is it?
I
Did we drink all of it?
We may have drinking all of it. There may be 2 left in there.
I have more.
Yay!
Woo! Regardless, that's whole COVID thing, it just didn't hit me in a way where I was concerned in the beginning, but I wasn't concerned about COVID. And you can speak to this because we talked about it a lot. I was very concerned about the market crashing.
Yes.
And then people losing their minds.
That's 100% what I was worried about the entire time.
I was so concerned. I'm like, man, okay, if somebody comes up the old driveway and is like, give me your food, or something
what am
like
I
that.
Do?
That's like, how does that pan out? I don't know. I was concerned.
Yeah.
I mean,
am I going to jail?
Yeah.
Or are you going to jail?
Right.
Yeah.
We don't live far enough away from civilization that that we live rurally does not say that we don't live next to large population centers.
Yes. Yeah, there's a distinction there. For sure.
So anyhow, that's really interesting. So Elon definitely, according to that interview there, he didn't really rank it up there with a big giant concern.
Speaking of Elon, I'm not going to do it now because we're out of time. This is like 2 episodes in one.
This has gone on.
I am going to, but I have futurist. I have more futurist about Elon. I have more predictions going forward on what he's doing right now.
I'm pretty sure he's a robot. Is that going to be in the futurism?
A little bit.
He's an android, and he's just living amongst us.
He does not have a South African accent.
Is he South African?
He's South African. But he doesn't have an American accent either.
No, it's just vaguely British.
It's South African, which is vaguely British.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, what was it? District...
District 9?
District 9?
Is that
yeah, because that was South African, right?
Yeah, it was South African.
Who's that guy? What was the star? The white guy that...
I don't remember.
And he was in the A-Team too, man.
I don't remember.
We're going to have to look that up. But anyhow, when I think of South African accent, I think of his accent.
That guy's? Yeah. So he's 100% South African. But his accent is this weird amalgamation of American and South African.
Yeah.
And it throws me off all the time.
Right.
But no, I have some futuristic. So we'll talk about it more in depth at some point. I'm going to talk about his HVAC and how basically at the end of the day, if I were Elon, I would market everything that I was going to use on Mars, on Earth, to pay for itself.
Ooh.
Got him. Got him.
Does he have a lot of setting up
solar,
like domes on Mars and shit?
So his solar is on par. It's I think some of his solar might be 80% efficient.
Yeah. I love
but
80% efficient. What are we at now? Standard 60?
50-ish.
60-ish?
Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
60-ish. So he's talking about HVAC, and people keep trying to nail him down on that stuff. But he keeps saying, and he keeps getting quoted on this, it's weird that current HVAC, especially air conditioning, the condensers keep putting out water, pure, absolutely drinkable water.
100%.
That gets dropped into the ground.
You see them ditching water all the time.
So yeah, absolutely.
Right, because it's just condensation.
So he keeps talking about how that's weird. And so my prediction, and we can talk about this more later, but my prediction is that every system that he would use to create habitats on Mars, he is going to market on Earth first, including the next thing that's going to come out is an HVAC system. And it's an HVAC system that is closed loop, so it's going to be HEPA. It's going to be like his cars, which his cars have a biological factor to it. So you can actually hit biological weapon or something like that on his cars, and it turns the HEPA up to like a crazy amount.
Oh, really? So this is just filtering.
So it's filtering.
Yeah.
The filter on it is like this big. The average car is like this big. And there's a secondary filter that's a normal size, about this big of a normal car. So so I absolutely believe he's going to have a biological attack function that basically turns your house into a hermetically sealed bunker.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that he's going to have on there, he's going to have recycled water. It's going to be like Tatooine. It's going to be like Star Wars.
Yeah.
He's going to have
water condensers.
He's going to have water condensers. He's going to be able to recycle the water. But I think at the end of the day, he is going to have every type of function to make a habitat. But he's going to offer it to us as Earthlings, not Americans, as Earthlings. He's going to offer it to us that we could have the Tesla wall.
Yeah.
The Tesla roof.
I want that Tesla wall.
I want the Tesla roof too, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because that thing is like almost shatterproof.
Yeah.
So he's going to have the Tesla wall, the Tesla roof. He's going to have the Tesla HVAC. It's going to be able to condense water. So you're going to have drinkable, potable water from your HVAC system. And you're going to have a biological attack function, which is going to be able to basically hermetically seal your house.
Right.
I think he's going to keep coming up with things that are all things that are going to be used in a Mars environment.
Right.
And he's going to have it on Earth first. He's going to let us, it's no different than any other company. You've got your, let's take Honda. So
we're bug fixing them.
We're we're actually bug. So Honda had Acura. Acura gets the stuff first, and they pay the premium, and then it goes, to the Hondas.
Yeah.
And then it goes down, and you go to Ford, you go to Volvo, and all those. They get it first, and then it gets disseminated down. But in this case, there's only one Tesla.
Yeah.
So Tesla is going to sell it to us first, and then it's going to be used in the Mars setups. But everything he keeps talking about is all something that is a self-sustaining, everything he works for. So as crazy as Elon can be sometimes, everything that he's working for is towards self-reliance.
It's true.
Which is why I'm 100% behind what the company does.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'm telling you right now, we're going to see in the next year and a half, 18 months tops, we are going to have a Tesla HVAC system that actually gives you potable water from the HVAC and offers you a biological attack function that adds like an extra filtering, just like the cars do, because cars offer that. You can't even detect the viruses in some of the car, and when you turn on that,
I wonder how it does its radiation. I mean, I really
now that's a really good question.
That's a really good question.
I don't know that answer, but that's my prediction. That's my futurist prediction. We'll talk more about it later.
Yeah. Now I want to talk about the level of ambient radiation on Mars versus Earth, because it has
almost no atmosphere.
It has almost no atmosphere, so I'm guessing
it's
they're
getting
getting
higher.
bombarded. It's got to be way higher. I mean, it's further from the sun.
Well,
but
think about how dangerous it is for us when there's solar radiation, when there's solar flares.
Oh, 100%.
Or even
if
to shut
you're-
down power grids.
If you're in Australia or whatever, and that ozone layer or whatever issue that they had in the 90s where it got decimated, and there was a ton of people there that were having a lot of issues with UV.
Which is also, Australia is one of Elon's pet projects. This has been amazing.
I don't know. Lost in Spades, we love you. Hey, we're just getting started here, and no pressure. I will never say smash that anything.
Oh my God.
But if you feel like subscribing, if you feel like giving us a thumbs up, we'd sure appreciate it.
Love to have you.
Love to have you, man.
Peace. See ya.